Hi, I'm Pierre Briot, and in this video I will talk about a polynomial time key recovery attack on the Sidon crypto system. This is joint work with Jean-Pierre Tillich and Javier Verbel. The Sidon crypto system is a multivariate scheme presented at PKC this year by Raviv, Langdon and Tamo. It relies on the theory of Sidon spaces. A Sidon space V is a subspace of an extension field FQN of dimension k, such that if you take two pairs of elements in V which have the same product, then these two pairs are identical up to a multiplicative factor in FQ. Concretely, this means that if you have a product AB of elements in V, then there exists a unique factorization, which is a couple AB, up to multiplication by a scalar in FQ, because the couple A times x b over x is another factorization for any x which is non-zero in FQ. The first remark is that this definition gives us a lot of Sidon spaces, but for the scheme we will need to rely on very specific ones. Actually, we are going to use a Sidon space V which admits an efficient factoring algorithm A, because the general idea of the scheme is that the plain text is a couple of elements in V, while the ciphertext is a product of these two elements. So in particular, to factor the ciphertext, we'll need the secret key Sk, which is first basis nu for the V, and a basis beta for the extension field. But on the contrary, Alice, who wants to encrypt the plain text without knowing the structure, must be able to perform products in V. So for that, we are going to reveal a multiplication table, which is a set of n matrices M1 to Mn, which are obtained from the secret key. So on the left, you have this matrix mu, which is equal to the transpose of nu times nu, and on the right, the matrix mi's are obtained by expressing the entries of mu in the basis beta. Then the components of pk allow you to encrypt mu by computing some matrix vector products, and the ciphertext ci is a vector of length n over fq. Then to decrypt with the secret key, the first step is to use your basis beta to go back to the extension field fqn, and then you notice that this field element is also a product of elements in V. So then if you have the secret key Sk, you are able to use A and to come up with a factorization of the ciphertext. So as it is usually the case in multivariate cryptography, retrieving Sk from pk is possible by solving some particular instance of the min-rank problem. So in our case, the instance is by considering the n matrices from the public key, and the goal is to find a linear combination over fqn, which is a matrix of rank only 1. So this is quite particular. The reason is that the secret matrix mu is the solution to this problem if you take xi, which is equal to beta I from the secret basis. So to see if the scheme is secure, we have to understand if this instance is difficult. For instance, how many solutions are there? Another question is that another source of hardness could come from the fact that it's hard to extract the matrix mu from the solution to the instance, even if the solutions are easy to solve. So it can be the matrix mu, but more generally, it can be any matrix which would be relevant to decrypt the ciphertext. So the Sidon crypto system from the PKC paper uses a very specific construction for the Sidon space V, which admits a factoring algorithm. And what we show in this paper is that if this construction is used in the scheme, in fact, the min rank attack is very efficient because first, the min rank instance has a lot of solutions. In fact, we show that there is an exponential number of solutions which belong to a subfield. So then we also show that these solutions are very easy to obtain. And finally, we show that it's also easy to recover an equivalent key from this solution set. So an equivalent key is a key which is not directly equal to mu, but still which permits to decrypt any ciphertext. So combining these two steps, this gives us a polynomial time attack on the scheme. So the structure of my presentation is as follows. So first, I will focus on explaining why the construction of V which is used in the scheme makes that the min rank instance is weak in some sense. So this construction relies on an even value of n, and k is equal to n over 2. So this means that fqk is a subfield of fqn. We also need this definition, which is the set of q-1 powers in fqk, and the Seidel space which is used in the scheme is of this form. So here gamma is a generating element of fqn over fqk, so in particular this is a root of a polynomial of degree 2 over fqk, and in this construction we ask that c, which is a constant term, is not a q-1 power. So the space V is a Seidel space, and moreover we can construct a factoring algorithm. For this we have two elements A and B which lie in V, and the product AB in fact can be expressed as a linear combination between 1 and the element gamma whose coordinates are polynomials f and g in U and V. So this means that if you have access to the structure of V, so here if you have access to gamma, you are able to recover f and g, and finally recover the elements U and V in a unique way. So in the following of the talk, I will always consider a Seidel space V of this form together with an element gamma which generates fqn over fqk. So now it remains to explain the weakness of the min rank instance if you choose this particular construction. So the relevant space to consider when you have a min rank instance is the space which is generated by the matrix mi's. But here in this analysis what we do is we focus on a subspace which is obtained by restricting the scalars to fqk. So here this is the space dmat. And to describe the solutions that we get, I will just give some definition. So this vector Vj is the vector that you have from V by iterating j times the Frobenius on each coordinates of V, and also we define, similarly as before, the matrix MV, which is a symmetric matrix of rank 1. So now to describe the solutions that we get, we consider this vector u over fqk, which is directly related to the basis nu for the Seidel space by this equation. And what we have is if you take x, which is a vector, which is a linear combination between two consecutive iterates of u, then the matrix mx lies in dmat, and this is a rank 1 matrix. So this gives you a solution to the min rank problem. In fact, we have an exponential number of solutions because we have complete freedom on the choice of lambda and mu in this inclusion. So also for the rest of the analysis, we will rely on the following assumption, which basically says that this proposition gives you all the rank 1 matrices in DMAT which have the form MX. So you have this equality, and on the right you have a union of vector spaces WIs, where WI is generated by 2 consecutive iterates of U. So now it remains to show how to obtain these elements in practice, and we do this by solving an algebraic system. And so to obtain this system, the idea is to view the space DMAT as a linear code of length k squared. And for this, we view each matrix of size k times k as a vector vecx of length k squared. So then we can consider a parity check matrix for the code DMAT, and our algebraic system is quadratic because the entries of x are monomials of degree 2, and it is obtained by writing this parity check equation. And so this gives us roughly k squared equations in k variable x size, and this system will be solved by Gromov basis. So before that, still we have to fix variables, because at this stage all the solutions which are given in proposition 1, so the exponential number of solutions, are solutions to this system. So first, if we fix 2 values, essentially if we use the previous assumption, we end up with k solutions, so it's much more favorable for us. Another remark is that since there are roughly k squared equations and k variables, this is a regime which is very favorable to compute Gromov basis. And more precisely, in the paper we are able to bound the degree which is reached by the Gromov basis computation. So if we adopt Greveleg's ordering of the variables, we are able to show that the Gromov basis computation terminates at degree 3, and this degree is independent from the value of k. So if you combine this degree bound with a generic estimate of the cost of the linear algebra which is necessary to perform Gromov basis computation, this gives us this complexity estimate, which is clearly polynomial in k, which is the dimension of the Seidel space. So at this point, after step 1, we are able to have as many solutions over FQK as we want, but we don't control them at all, because we have fixed values arbitrarily, and we don't control the shape of the solutions. So we are still far from targeting our key mu, because first we have a bunch of solutions, and also mu is over FQN and it's not over FQK. So in fact, in our attack, we are going to target an equivalent key which is not directly mu. In the context of the Seidel system, it's very easy to notice that an equivalent key is given by a matrix mu prime which lies in the span of the mi's, such that n prime is a basis for a Seidel space V prime, which uses the same construction as V. So this means that we will need to rely on an element gamma prime to construct V prime. So why is this the case? It is really simple. This matrix mu prime lies in the linear span of the mi's, so in particular you have some coordinates beta I primes. So if you know these beta I primes, you can first reconstruct an element in the extension field from your ciphertext, and then this element is also an element which is a product of elements in V prime. So what remains to do now is how to recover this matrix. So we'll start with some particular solution T of this form. So T is a scalar multiple of a Frobenius iterate on U. And so we have seen that such a vector T satisfies MT belongs to DMAT. But this vector is not, it cannot be found directly after step 1, because at step 1 we don't control the shape of the solution that we get. So to get this particular vector t, I will go back to this a bit later on. Just for the moment, just consider that we have this matrix MT which lies in the mat. So then, what we do is we construct an element gamma prime which satisfies the same kind of constraints as the previous element gamma, so it's a root of a specific polynomial of degree 2. And from this, we can construct a Sidon space V prime and a basis an U prime. And in fact, the fact that the matrix mu prime lies in this vector space and therefore can be used as an equivalent key comes from the previous proposition. So now it remains to explain how to recover these solutions T from a bunch of random solutions that we get after step 1. So we have capital L solutions which are over FQK, and we can assume that they are non-collinear for the analysis. So just to recall you, the structure of the solution set was a union of vector spaces Wi's, where Wi is generated by two consecutive Frobenius iterates of U. So this means that if we have sufficiently many solutions Ti's, we are sure to cover any space Wi. So if we have n which is greater than k plus 1, we know that two Tj's will fall into the same Wj0. In fact, if you want to use the birthday paradox, you can even take a smaller number of Ti's, but it's not really important for the attack. So just imagine that now we have covered all, this union is covered by all the Tj's. So then, for each pair of vectors here, I compute this vector space Tij, and this second vector space Tij1, which is simply you raise the generators to the power q. And so since this union is completely covered by the Tj's, we know that at least one of these intersections, if you take all the values of I and j's, will be non-trivial. And so if you consider a generator for this intersection, we know that this is a vector of this form. So this step is not costly either, since we have roughly k squared pairs of elements here, and here we simply compute some intersections between vector spaces of dimension 2, so this is really nothing. So if we combine step 1 and step 2 together, we get a polynomial attack on the scheme. But actually, all what I've explained showed that the weakness in the scheme is the specific construction of V which is used. So this means that if one comes up with a different construction of V which admits a factoring algorithm, he can try to repair the scheme. The thing is that for the moment we don't have so many of them, and they are essentially all summarized in this paper, and they are all of the same shape as I explained, so they are vulnerable to our key recovery attack. Thank you for your attention, and don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions during the live session.